Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Eternum Labs podcast. Today we have an extremely special guest on the show, Anthony Trucks. Former NFL star, now he is a public speaking coach who helps people to change their identities to live in the best version of themselves. If you guys are interested in any of the Eternum Labs products, please head to eternumlabs.com.au where you can get all of the products which are going to help you live in your best body. They're going to increase your longevity and help you perform at your peak. So without any further ado, guys, please enjoy and listen to this whole podcast. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, good, man. I just want to say, I've been watching some of your videos and looking at your content, and your story is out of control, especially from your journey, from where you've been and the things that you've had to overcome, and what you've created for yourself is fantastic. I really appreciate that. So thanks for showing and being a guiding light, I guess.
Hey, I try to be, at the end of the day, man, I try to be a good guy. I try to be legitimately who I'd like to meet in the world every day. So if I'm that guy, then everything works smooth.
Yeah, so true. How did you first start getting into speaking? When did you make that decision to be yeah, I'm going to start speaking now?
To be honest, it was an accident. Well, as a kid, I always talked. I never shut up. I always got in trouble for a whole lot of things. Right. Yeah. But it's one of those things where I think for me, as I learned to kind of turn it into something, it became beneficial. But it started out speaking wise, after football, I wasn't going to talk. I was just a gym owner. And then I started talking and sharing on fitness stuff. And then fitness stuff turned into people asking about my real life. And then my real life kind of became a conversation. And I happened across an individual named Brendan Burchard who does this stuff for a living, and he teaches you how to do it for yourself. And I was like, all right, I'll go try that. And then I started sharing thoughts, random thoughts and ideas with the internet. And the more you do it, the better you get. And then you start finding people like it. And it's oh, so you actually do something you love to do that people love experiencing. And it turned into this thing where I love it. I just got off a stage a couple of days ago, 3,000 women in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I go to Florida. But this Saturday, I go to Florida to a couple thousand people out in Clearwater, Florida. And I love it. My wife's how do you do that? How do you get up on stage and just talk to people? And I'm I don't know, but it is my happy place. I'm telling you, man, there are a few things that I'll boast about, but I am damn good on a stage, Corey. I am a damn good speaker. I have a hell of a lot of fun. I'm not the guy that's going to make you I'm not an ET where I yell and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. The dude's a beast, bro. He fires me up, but I'm the guy that we banter back and forth, and I'll joke that I will touch your damn heart. And you'll go, oh, and then, I'm saying that's where I fit in, but I have my own style and it works. And I have fun. So speaking became this thing that I learned to fall in love with, and it fell in love with me.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. And you bring so much energy to the stage, and I guess that really suits you because you're super extroverted. But
what's funny is I'm an introverted extrovert. So hey. I am very extrovert. I'm a very talkative, outgoing guy. I love people, but at the same time, I recharge alone. I spend the majority of my day by myself. Most people don't get that. When I'm out, I love my family. We hang out, but if my family's gone, I'm hell yes, leave me alone. And then I do my thing and I hang out myself because I like me. And I don't think a lot of people get to the point of liking themselves. So they spend a lot of time partying, hanging out with friends and drinking, and no matter what the reason is, right? I just really like me because I've spent time working on this dude and hanging out with this guy. And so I like being alone, but it allows me to come back to the world with better thoughts, better clarity, less ego, more value. And everybody can do this. I think if you want to show up in the world with great value, you got to be a person of value. And that can't happen if you never shut up and just hang out with yourself.
Yeah, so true, man. Actually intentionally putting in that stillness brings you so much balance. And obviously through that time, you've really recharged yourself. So when you do get on stage or you do get to talk to someone, you get to give them all of you, and you're super present.
All of
you get to give them, give your best.
I walk off stage sweaty and empty, and it sounds gross, but it's one of these things where if I'm going to come out here in front of you and I'm going to take any time from your life, I'm going to give you something great. I need you to walk away with something amazing. It's the only way that everything matters. Because for me, it's I am a selfish human. And the fact of, I love thank yous. I want a great thank you, right? And the only way I'm going to get a true thank you is if I give you every ounce of whatever I got inside. Like, that's it. If I don't give it all, I don't get the thank you I want. And so for me, when I'm on a stage, I'm like, all right, I got 3,000 lives here. This matters. And if I'm out here, bro, you're going to get every ounce I got. And so I pour. But the cool thing is, as a human being, when you do that, when you pour out, doesn't matter where you're at, when you can pour out of yourself, it's cathartic. So you release, but dude, you find out so much, you give so much. It's like skydiving, and I've never skydived, so I don't know. I'm just going to guess right now, Corey. But it's like skydiving. You're just out there and you're just going free falling, bro. I don't reserve stuff. I don't have much of a filter. The only thing I don't do is cuss, really. Besides that, bro, everything comes out of my head. I banter, but it's so much. I'm borderline a comedian and like a personal development guy that touches your soul. And I'm like a coach. It's a mixture of a weird collection of identities that all just kind of come through, because I will hit you hard between the eyes and in the heart with a really powerful message. Then I'll make a dumb sex joke and a racial joke, and then I'll come back to it, and I'll be like the guy that holds your heart. And then I'll dig in, like, you got, I just, wherever it comes from, but it's not scripted and it flows. And I think if you can get to that as a human, to just show up as you, you'll find that inside of you is every piece of freedom, joy, potential you're seeking. You just don't let it out most of the time.
Yeah. And I think like what you would do, just as you were explaining that, was just click for me. It's like you're sort of, it's a really good skill to have. As you said, like, it's not scripted, but you can just generally catch like the vibe or the energy of like what everyone's doing. And then you can really read that and then like adjust how you're actually going to perform or be towards the other people, which is what's going to give them like some huge, which is where you're going to get the best feedback and allow you to get like the best thank you for you. Cause I agree with you with that whole thank you thing. And it's not just a thank you. It's like a sincere thank you. When someone sends you like a message or tells you, like, as you would know, you'd experience a lot of it. But when someone's like, you completely touched me and impacted me. Thank you so much. Like, my life's different now.
Big, man. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So I'd also like to get into and discuss like some of your past, because your story is like fantastic. Like the whole growing up in the adoptive, like foster care homes, you getting into the NFL. And it sort of seemed like throughout like that period, there's a lot of parts where it was like you had to really sort of deal with your shadow and deal with like all of those things that come up. And you can tell that by doing all of that work, you've done so much self-reflection work. And as you said, you start to like yourself now. So I'd like to get like a little bit of an idea of what your journey was like coming up, some of the main pain points, and then some of the lessons that you've learned, and then some of the actual integrative work that you've done in terms to actually really develop yourself.
Let's do it all, man. We'll give all of it. I'll give you not only the stories and the concepts, but I'll give everybody some takeaways, things they can actually do. So you guys gotta pay attention, people. If you leave right now, you're gonna miss the gold of all the things that people pay me a lot of money to teach them, because I'm not just a concept guy. There's a lot of people that say you should be better and do night, and they say, and then they don't tell you how to do it. I'm gonna give it all to you right now. Obviously, we go deeper in stuff we do, but I'm gonna give all the goods. All the goods, man. Let's dig, bro. Where do you want to go? Let's talk. Let's have fun. Let's give the people something awesome.
All right. So let's start off with some of the main pain points. We'll go to the darker side of things. Some of the main pain points for you. If you have any stories of around something that was like, whoa, this was crazy.
Oh, it sucked.
I'd love I'd love you to touch those terms, just to give people like a bit of an idea of just like, okay.
My crazy.
Yeah.
Let's give you the Reader's Digest version of Anthony's story. Real quick. Do you remember, you know what the Reader's Digest is?
I'm not sure.
How old are you again? I'm just curious.
28.
That's why you don't know about it. I love it, man. Let's do it. So Reader's Digest, these little books back in the day, it was like a little like reader thing. You could just go read through it. So that's what it was. Somebody says Reader's Digest. Now you know, Corey. You could be like, yeah, bro, I got wisdom. I'm up on game, cuz. Do all that. So no, years ago. So 1986, my mom gave me away, me and my 3 siblings, into foster care in America, in California. And what ends up happening in that situation, that system, you really have this environment where people don't really take care of you. You're what's called a paycheck, which means as long as I don't die in that system, like they get a paycheck and life is good. So I was beaten, starved, tortured, man. Like, and this is all before the age of 6. 6 years old hits, I get moved to a family, which is my current family, an all-white family, really poor. And I was a sole Black kid trying to navigate these waters of like, where do I fit in this world? And it really was just this kind of debilitating sense of like, I don't know who I am. My mom doesn't love me. These families I'm with suck. This family loved me, but they're really poor. I didn't fit, right? All that kind of craziness. And then after 8 years with them, I finally got adopted. during that time, I couldn't play sports, couldn't travel, couldn't do anything. So I turned 14. I'm like, I'm going to go try something new. I'm going to go play football, American football. And I sucked. Corey, I sucked, bro. And you know what happens? And this is everybody. When you try something new that you haven't yet tried, the reality is you're not very good at it. And you are met with that reality and the pain of the emotion of the pain that like, I'm not very good. It sits on you. So I'm in these moments of like, oh, this kind of sucks. And I start navigating a little bit differently and try to find a way to get back to a point where I feel like I like myself again. And what I did is I dug into doing the things it took to be great at football before I knew I would be great. And it turned into me, we're going to fast track it. I got a college scholarship a couple of years later. I ended up having a kid in college at 20 years old, met my real dad at 21 years old. A couple of years later, I got a chance to play in the NFL, which is professional football league over here. In my third year, I got hurt because NFL stands for not for long. You get in, you get hurt, you get out. It sucks. Came home and opened a gym because my degree's in kinesiology and had a massive identity crisis. I didn't know who I was outside of all the stuff. Now, I married my high school sweetheart. We had 2 more kids, and now I got 3 kids. I'm not a present dad, not a present husband. So family falls apart. I get divorced. Gym's falling apart. I'm almost bankrupt there. Beat it somehow, but barely. I'm out of shape and I can't play football. I go through a fog for many years of just like, man, just going downhill. At one point, I was sleeping in a 500 square foot studio apartment behind my staff's girlfriend's house. It was a little itty bitty spot, like sad, right? And it gets to this point where it all just kind of sucks, just all not very good. And I have this kind of moment of my mom passing away. My adoptive mom had been diagnosed with MS, and so in 2014, man, she passed away. And it was this awakening of like, I got to figure out how to live this life better, because she'd helped me beat the odds of foster care. Because foster care, most people don't know, but any prison in America, 75% of the inmates have spent time in foster care. And 50% of our homeless population, former foster kids. Less than 1% of us will ever graduate from college. We're not set up to do well, but this woman loved me to a point where I could do well, and I wasn't living right. So when she passed, I made 2 promises. Promise 1, Mom, I'm going to figure this life out. Promise 2, when I do, I'm going to help somebody else do it. Somehow I'm going to find a way in the world to do it. Now, I just owned a gym at the time, and I went in the path of like figuring out, how do I do this? And to be quite honest, I didn't fix it immediately. I wish I could say, Corey, bro, as soon as it happened, I went on, my life changed. Took 2 years, almost 2 years. I had to wake up another time, New Year's Day, sleeping next to a strange woman from Russia who didn't speak English, who had flown out to hang out with me, you know, the bachelor cool thing, and look in the mirror and be disgusted with myself to finally figure out, like, I got to make a change. In the next 10 months of my life, complete overhaul of who I was. It was the first identity shift I'd ever made intentionally. And fast forward 10 months, I remarried my ex-wife. We have an amazing marriage, 5 years deep into a new marriage. I've got kids that have a present father. I'm in great shape. I get to travel and speak and coach. And so I've now created this process where it looks at not just my life, but anybody who has made something successful of their lives, the science behind it from a psychology standpoint, a neuroscience standpoint. And I've codified it to what's called the shift method. So it's a process you can follow to be able to shift into a different level of your humanity, to create at the same time anything you want, because it happens in unison. So when I did that, like, I got to be an American Ninja Warrior, the business got born, like all these cool things happened, but they didn't happen in silos. I didn't transform and then come back to the world. I didn't achieve and come back to the world. I was transforming and achieving at the exact same time. And if you do the process properly, you'll look back at your life and go, holy crap, look at all the things I have and look at who I've become. When you get to that sweet spot through the process, bro, life becomes something that is just unimaginably cool.
Yeah. And I think like throughout that whole period of time, I think like what's really cool is like, it's sort of like the world sort of kept trying to poke you in the right direction and like sent you all of these different like types of tests. And then it was like, when you were like, I'm going to change my identity, I'm going to make this shift, then everything sort of come to you and started to serve you really well. So like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it?
How did I do it?
How did you do it? Make those shifts, man.
Yeah, man. It's, we'll go through the process now. I'm going to explain it to you from the position of the mind now, not at the position of the mind then. Because the problem is when you're in the middle of the race, you can't talk about the race. It's a lot of people, they go into a realm of teaching people how to run the race before they've crossed the finish line. And I'm not a fan of that. Like, I think that there's like, just because you made a left turn and right now it feels good doesn't mean you should tell people to follow you, because you might be going down a cliff, right? So wait till you've crossed the finish line and go, oh yeah, I shouldn't have ever made that left turn, right? That's what you got to do. So I'm going to talk to you guys from a position of understanding now what really should have been done. So my goal when I look at make an identity shift, the first thing is like a GPS. I got to know where I'm going. And this is common sense, but please, people don't shut the brain off because you think like, oh, I heard this before. I promise it's a different way of looking at it. And if you listen to it with different ears, it'll change the way you perceive things and could possibly adjust and change your life, quite literally. So the idea is like, if you look at a GPS module, what happens is there's a place I put for a destination. And then another thing, where's my location? Destination, current location. And then you chart the path in between. Well, most people, they don't actually have a charted destination. What they do is they say, well, I want to go to this arbitrary place real quick, some end result. And they just start doing things. And at the same time, honestly, most of them have no idea where they're even at. They're just floating. It's weird. Like I don't really know who they are. It is hard to see the label when you are inside of the jar. Most people are in that jar and they don't even really see themselves, right? So what I talk about is I want to get you to what I call your zone identity. There's a version of your identity that when you're in the zone, like if you're an athlete, you get it. You're impenetrable. I'm focused. I'm dialed. I got confidence. I'm taking action. I'm working out. I'm eating right. It's just moving. The rest of the world drowns away where you're flowing, right? That's your zone. Athletes get there. Coaches get there. CEOs get there. When you're just in that groove, right? That's what I want people to get to. Now, how do we get there? Why are we not there? Well, the first thing is that path. We got to talk about a chart that. The first thing most people don't do is they don't actually see their zone lags. Because if you're going to have the zone, there's something that's keeping you lagging behind. That's the current location. Most people have no idea what the current location is. And they go through life and they start doing things and borrowing habits. They're like, I'm going to eat right. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read this. And it's like, bro, why? Because so-and-so did it. Yeah, but that's their thing. What if your holes are in a different position? What if your plugs are different plugs, the switches are different switches? Why are you doing their stuff? Do your stuff, right? So if you figure out what your stuff is, you have a better opportunity of actually going. So first step is you got to see your zone lags. Now, once you see what those are, let's be real, it ain't going to feel good. To know what you're really facing, it actually hurts. It attacks your ego. It feels like someone's attacking you because it's attacking your ego. It's not you. It's what you're protecting. Your ego protects your identity with your actions, right? In a good and bad way. The good way is like when I played football, my ego said, you better work out, you better lift, you better eat right food. So that ego protected it, but it'll protect whatever identity's in there. So at that time, it's like, all right, this is my identity and I'm protecting this guy. But the problem is you feel attacked. Stop the attack, realize it's for your benefit and go, okay, great. I need to work on this. Give yourself permission to improve. Now you go to the next thing. You go, okay, great. Time to work on some stuff. Well, what am I going to work on? Your stuff, man. That's your stuff. This is the part of the GPS. We're going to say, well, what is the ideal zone identity for me? What's the perfect zone identity for my dream? What do I have to have? And there's like 6 little core areas, but you have to figure out what are the 6, where do they fit? And once you get those, you go, okay, great. This is who I want to become, because it's the big thing, Corey. When you become that person, you get to have the things you want. Until you become that person, you don't get to have it. Unless you start robbing banks. That's a different conversation. Because here's the reality. We're in a world where we know too much. I guarantee I could ask you right now, what's the path to making $1 million? You could probably tell me what it is, but it's not getting done possibly. Yeah. Being honest, right?
Yeah. You see so many people do it.
It's like, so many ways. So what I found is you got to pick one. It's dead serious. You hit on the head. I'm talking a lot. Cut me off whenever you want to. I won't feel embarrassed or bad because I'm in a talky mood. But here's what I've noticed, dude. When you get to moments, this will happen to everybody. It's like, it's 6 o'clock at night and you go, man, I know I'm supposed to do that thing. I know to do it, but you know what? I'm tired, or it's been a long day, or the girlfriend's bugging me, boyfriend's bugging me. I got this going on, whatever. And as I stop, right? I always ask people, and real question in that moment, I say, what's your dream again? They tell me the dream. I say, okay, great. Would the person who has that thing, would they stop and make this excuse right now? And the answer is no. They wouldn't even consider it. They would just do the thing. It wouldn't even be a conversation. It would just be getting done. That's why you don't have what you have, not because of what you do or don't know, or because of your network, or because of your whatever. It's who you are. Because when you're that person, it gets done. Now, all of a sudden, guess what? If it gets done, you get to have those things, right? So for me, I say, what is that zone identity that has what you want? And now we go back and go, okay, great. That's what it is. Let's now make the blue little chart to get there. You know, a little blue line on your GPS on your phone. Yeah. Let's make that blue line, because the blue line is actions, habits, reactions, and drivers. I call it the hard: habits, actions, reactions, drivers. I want to look at what these things are. And I really want to dial in and say, these are the parts of what's going to get you to your end destination. And it's got to be a thing where when you get there, you feel like you belong there. The reason a lot of people don't actually succeed to have what they want in life is because when they get to a certain level, part of them doesn't believe they deserve it if they get there the wrong way or if they got boosted to get there. So they will self-sabotage. They will, because they don't want to get found out. God forbid someone knows I didn't do the same work to get here, right? You got to earn that. You got to do things in the dark. Like I tell people, I have done too much in the dark for you to take what is mine in the light. That is mine. I worked in the dark when nobody was watching. So that's who I am now. So you do that properly. And now all of a sudden you get to that destination and go, look at me. I'm a boxer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a podcaster. I'm a mom. I'm a dad. I'm a coach. I'm a speaker, whatever it is. That's who I am because I looked at who I wanted to become. I charted a path and did that. Now, how in the world do we go through the path? That's the big thing too, because most people go, okay, great. Sounds good. I got the actions. I'm going to go buy a planner and I'm going to go do it. I'm going to get a planner, right? And I go, dang, man, I've noticed in my life, there are probably 90% of people who buy planners have no idea how to plan. None. It's none. It's so scary and super weird. My wife doesn't know how to use her planner. She gets a planner and she puts like on the day, she's like, it's like a checklist. Like get a piece of paper. Why do you have a whole planner for that? That's not planning your life. It's crazy. So what I look at, you are what you consistently do. There's great books that break this down. They don't break down how to plan who you'll become though. So we plan who you'll become, obviously. Now we're going to go back to the stuff that works, which is how do we look at the daily operations and plan properly? And this is what I call a discipline system. So this discipline system is something you put in that allows you to have a structure. And think about discipline. Discipline is disciple, to follow, plan, to follow a plan. You can't be disciplined with no plan.
May I just quickly interrupt and just say, everyone who's listening, like really get in. This is like fire right here. Like this is some straight up fire, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it, man. You're making a lot of clicks for me. I'm having these like conscious thoughts that have been unconscious, and I'm like, well, they're coming conscious now. So
there they go, right there. They're coming out like
keep going, man. That's good. Sorry for interrupting. And just to say, everyone who's listening, thinking,
this is your show.
On. Yeah,
your show, bro. Everybody, pay attention. I'm geeked out on Mountain Dew. So once you have a plan, you follow it. The idea is to keep things in place that allow you to get up, and you cannot live a life where you have to get up and guess or think about what to do today because you're operating off of feeling. And if that's the case, then what happens is you're just going to get up and go. And one day you're not going to feel like doing it and it won't get done. I get up and my planner, my life that I've planned tells me how to live it today. Sounds super weird, but I get up and I go, okay, life, what am I supposed to do today? And I look in the planner and look at my schedule. And if it says hang out with my kids. If it says eat some food, I'm eating my food. It sounds weird, but I don't get up and think about it because there's more energy in thinking about what to do. If you ever go to the gym, the worst thing to do is go to the gym without a workout for the day. Because you walk in and you wander around like a damn puppy dog looking at stuff, and you leave the gym without even getting a real hard workout. But if your trainer sends you a workout and said, hey, you got this, you get right into it. And now all of a sudden I'm bigger, faster, and stronger. Same thing for life. But most people show up to life with no workout plan. They just show up. So I'm like, no, we're going to plan that. And then what we do is now that the system that's in there, how do I stay disciplined to it? A lot of it is boundaries. How do I keep the things out that got to stay out and the things in that got to stay in, right? So structure, discipline, consistency, that stays in whether I feel like it or not. This thing doesn't leave the boundary. I am not going to say this thing, try this thing, miss this thing, whatever it is. I'm doing that. I'm reading the book. I'm writing this thing. It's in the boundary. If it's outside the boundary, I'm sorry. I'm not going to the bar. We're not partying. I'm not taking that trip. I'm not giving you a call. If you want to press the boundary, hey, look, I'm working on something. You want to go do this? Let me take a look. You know what? I would love to, but I got to say no because I got something on my planner I already said yes to. And if I say yes to your thing, I got to say no to something I already said yes to. Can't do that. My life's right here. It's telling me what to do. I can't shut this thing up. So I live my life with a discipline system that allows me to have a structure of where I get to operate in a tick to where fast forward 6 months, I will look up and I'll go back to my life and go, I am a different person than I was 6 months ago. Not only that, but I have different things than I had 6 months ago. That's my proof that this is my light because I did the work in the dark. And that's the process. And most people go, what do I got to learn? What book do I got to read? That's all good and well, man. But all that information is useless unless you are the person to apply it. It is not what you know. It is who you are with what you know. And we create the who.
Yeah, and who you are is obviously going to give you a massive sense of conviction, so that when you do
Always.
figure that out, you're going to stick to it 100%.
Oh, you ride, dog. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, in the beginning, it's hard. My camera's being all weird. I don't know what it's doing. It's probably going to turn off. Stupid camera. In the beginning, it becomes hard to do these things. And I'm dead serious. Usually it's very difficult. But here's the cool thing. It's difficult because it's out of character right now. It's not who I am to do this. So it feels weird, right? But just bear with me for a second. Out of character doesn't mean bad. It just means different than the current character. It could be good. Out of character could be like, you know what? I'm cold calling. I'm making sales calls. It's out of character, but it's a good character for the business, right? I'm communicating better. I'm saying sorry. I'm apologizing. These are all out of character. But the idea is you hear out of character and think it's bad. I'm not that guy. Well, then, yeah, you won't have what that guy has, right? First part of it. But here's the unique thing. Whenever you do it enough, it's hard in the beginning. But when you've done it enough, it becomes who you are to do it. But here's the cool thing. Where at first it was hard to do it, it becomes just as hard to not do it.
Yeah.
Because it's who I am now. I'll feel growth. Like say working out in the beginning, it's hard to get to the gym. It's hard to be consistent. It's hard to, but then after a while, it's like, bro, I feel gross if I didn't work out today. I can't eat that trash. It's hard to not do it. So here's the thing though. Someone's going to get it done. And one person's going to have the energy from doing it or be burnt out. If it's always me forcing to do it, I'm going to stop at some point. So I will not get the outcome of that action. But if it's hard not to, it's going to get done almost easily. Effortless effort. So now I'm the one that has the house, has the car, has the time, has the freedom, has the love, has the joy, because it's who I am to do it. All of us operate in alignment. We want to be in alignment with who we see ourselves to be. If you see yourself to be back here, it will always be hard to do it because you're pulling away. But if it's who you are up here, you've crafted and booked into it. Now it becomes who you are to stay in alignment with those certain things. And that's why people who are successful almost make it look easy because it actually feels easy.
Yeah. Oh man, crazy. And like massive clicks doing the things out of character to make them your actual character. And that effortless effort you get from figuring out who you want to become and being that person, mind blown. Love that. Dude, so good. I'm actually extremely interested, like just a personal question for you is like, what are your inputs? How did you learn all of this and apply it to yourself?
Oh, I broke my damn life, dude. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
You go out there and you break your life and then you figure it out and you're like, oh, that's what happened. To be honest, man, I don't think I'm special. I've done enough stuff and I think I try to tune into my life more than most people will tune into their life. When I break something, mess something up, or it's not right, I will have the conversation with myself and ask, why is this right? And I have always, as a human being, maybe not always, as of late, I've been tied. Like I am very like identifying as a human. I identify with the effort, not the outcome. So when you ask, how did I get here? I do this. Well, I give effort. And if the effort creates something where like I stumbled and I felt cool, right? At least I learned that. I'm not connected to the outcome where I feel like I suck because the outcome sucked. I'm like, well, you did the effort. You figured it out. Cool. It's what you figured out. Great. Let's keep moving, right? It doesn't feel good. You're a bad dad, right? You're not a good husband. Cool. Like it sucks. It's the reality. But now I give myself permission to improve. And when you give yourself permission, you start finding out things about yourself that were always there, but you didn't pay attention to. So for me, like I just constantly am living this life, but I've given it a structure where I can teach from it. And so the majority of like the people I'm working with, I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, I'm going to show you how to make $1 billion. I've never done that. That's not realistic. I don't even want to do that. Right. But if you're like, hey, I'm in that sophomore season of life, so to speak. I've done the first stage of job, of work, of business. I'm like, I want to access that next level. And it could be monetary. It could be relational. It could be health wise. What we look at is like, okay, you've got that. And maybe now you realize that part of the problem, part of the hindrance is you as a human. Not that you are broken. It's just in comparison to where your dream is at, you have more work to do. And if that's where you're at, like, cool, I'm the guy to help you because I know what it means to cross those finish lines. I've been there. I'm looking back going, don't do this, go do this. No, stay there. I know you want to go here, but stay over here. See, told you, right? That's the progression. And so for me, I just did it through trial and error for my own life. And then over the years, I've had other people become my guinea pigs, which is great. And now I learn from them. And to where now it's so dialed, I don't actually have to stress off of like whether it's going to work or not. I have full confidence it works. It's super cool to watch. I took things out of my head and put it into a process that people can then go work through, and they come back and go. I had a client a month and a half ago say, look, hey, send you a message. I got a picture of it somewhere, but he's like, hey, letting you know, from when we started working a year ago, he was making $3,000 a month. He's like, I now have made and brought in $1,056,000. It's crazy, right? And it's like, what's the difference? Was it information? It wasn't information. He knew what to do, but part of who he was, he couldn't act out of character in the right direction. He didn't feel like it was him. All these little things. And you dial him in, and now it was who he was to create that income. So where it was hard to do it first, it's hard not to now.
Yeah. And then he just obviously will keep growing, keep learning. I think that's like massive willingness to learn, and a massive willingness to be open and to like accept that within yourself to obviously keep moving forward. So as you mentioned just before as well, when you're talking about people who are in that position where they're like, hey, like ideal person, I really want to start transitioning from here to here. And I've listened to all the things that you guys have said in the podcast. I understand all of that stuff. In terms of actually something tangible to do, is there anything you would encourage them?
Tangible to do in what aspect?
Tangible to do in terms of like some sort of like an exercise, a way to look at their life, whether they write something out in a certain sort of way to get clear and go, oh my gosh, that's like who I am. Like I can act. Yeah. I'm now motivated to actually act out of character, which is going to be in character.
Well, first off, it's a build-up process. It's not going to happen immediately. And to be quite honest, we are so good at wanting to stay safe that we sometimes won't even notice we're protecting ourselves.
Yeah.
So usually it happens with other people involved. So it's one of our proprietary processes we actually utilize in the program that allow us to actually do that work with other people to figure these things out. And the way I explain is a certain select set of questions that we ask. And we do somewhere we number the questions and we base it. And then we actually have a process with how we ask them. It's a full little system. But in that system, you walk away with like some deep conversations that usually hurt your damn heart, but you get clarity. And part of it is, I'll give you a little thing. The way we ask the questions, they will make you want to cry in the moment. And what happens afterwards is you can't say anything. So in fact, you get to hold 48 hours before you could actually address it. Bro, people hate it. However, in the moment they hate it, at the end of it, they walk away with this opening of like, holy crap, I didn't quite understand that's who I was. Or it's like, wow, I didn't even see this thing I have inside them. It's nuts. And it opens up. And I made it out of just boredom and trial and error and then science. I was like, how do people work? What's the psychology around interactions? I was like, oh, let me try this. And it's super uncomfortable and awkward. But when you do the outcome, it's gold. It's so cool. But you do walk away from that conversation. You go, wow, like that's who I am. Now, here's the cool thing. Once you know what you need to work on or what somebody has said you should work on, you don't have to work on all of it. I think that's the one thing people assume is like, I got to be perfect. No one's asking to be perfect. Usually it's just better. Right. So you may have somebody say something that you go, oh, that sucks. I don't want to be seen as that. But then like, hey, it might be part of who you are and it may be beneficial to the rest of the world. Right. Right. For example, if you had someone like, I don't know, like if Kanye was to listen to somebody tell him like you should be less X, Y, and Z, we wouldn't have half the things we have from Kanye. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to do what you do, but you also got to choose what I don't care to listen to. But I'm positive Kanye probably has someone he listens to. It's like, hey, bro, you probably shouldn't do. He's like, you're right. You know, there's those things. So you have to find out what it is, but you have to find the right people and put it in place. And then you get to choose who you want to become from that.
Yeah. And what would you suggest in terms of just someone who's just listened to this podcast and they're like, oh, I want to do a little bit. Have you got like some sort of questions that you just encourage
I'll give you
people
one.
to float over?
You want to know all the dirt. I see you digging.
I'm digging that.
You want to get all the stuff I did. No, it's cool. And I don't mind. There's so much that a process. It's not like it's going to hurt me to have somebody know a little segment. There's just a depth to it. But no, so we do is we have these 10 questions. Let's say we'll choose 2 of them. And this what we call roots and fruits. Roots are the things that ground you in life. Fruits, the fruits of the labor. You cannot have the fruits without the roots. but you got to look at the roots first to create the fruits.
Love it.
And so like two of the questions we'll call it faith and family. Those are two. What you end up doing is going, hey, how would you score me 0 to 10 in the base of family? And how would you score me in faith? And someone would go, I'm going to tell 6 on that, 5, 10, whatever it is on that. And you go, why? And their job is to explain to you why. And your job is to not say a damn thing. You can't respond. You can't rebut. You can't refute. You sit there and eat it. You froze a little bit. There you're back.
Yeah, we're back.
You got to sit there and just let it settle in. And then you got to let them just ask the questions. Now, the progression of the questions is unique, because what happens is the first question, they're not going to believe it. You're going to be quiet. They won't believe you. And then they'll be like, oh, they are being quiet. Because if you do it wrong in the beginning, you will ruin the whole thing. You have to shut up. You just have to shut up and let them talk, and nod your head and write things down, and nod your head and write things down. Right. And then the first question, like they're like testing. Well, by the fourth question, if you've done it right, they're going to start pouring out to you all the stuff that you do not want to hear, but you really need to hear. And it just comes flowing out of you. And it's like, oh, and you eat it. And it just, oh, right. It sucks. Then you go to the top and circle back and go, hey, let's go back to question 1 through 4, because they usually have some, they have more to give because they didn't open it all up in the beginning. So you go back and we think, okay, and they give you more and you're like, oh, that sucks. But then you're done. And now you have this information that's kind of detailed, and it goes, oof, it's kind of difficult. But when you have it and it's anchored, you get this point of like, you get to walk away and you will be emotional. You're going to want to say something to them, but you can't say anything for 48 hours. But when you do say something later with that window of time, it creates this space to where the emotion dies down. You actually get to think about it logically for a little bit. And then you can come back and go, look, hey, you're right. You know, I'm not the best husband. I haven't done the right things. I haven't been the right boyfriend, whatever it is. I do need to work on that. And here's the cool thing. It helps mend relationships, because sometimes it's the first time any of these people have ever been heard. And then you can come back and have that bubble. So I've actually watched it fix marriages. It's fixed friendships. It's fixed, sibling connections that have been broken for 20 years sometimes. It's just a weird little process, but it's because simply somebody they saw themselves for the first time, and now they know what to work on. That's the big key of it all.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much wisdom in that. As you were speaking, I had a couple of quotes pop into my head. Like one of them was a Carl Jung quote when he was talking about, the deeper the roots in the tree, obviously with the roots and the fruits. I love that, man, especially because it weaves a little bit of that myth stuff in there. Like as Carl Jung was mentioning, like the deeper the roots, the better the tree. And Fyodor Dostoevsky, I think it was him. One of his quotes was like, the darker the night, the brighter the stars, the deeper the grief, the closer to God. And like, as you were saying, I was like, oh man, that's so legit. You're sort of like muddying all the water and then just clearing all the stuff off the top. And I love the time thing in there, like the time to actually, it makes so much sense. Like to me personally, sort of just letting it sit there and fester for a while and then actually talking about it. Man, fantastic.
Yeah. It's not always a festering thing. It's just it's a time to like just think. And it feels weird, but that's the idea, is like, if you can just think for a bit on it, you may find that, here's the thing, you may find that you don't care to work on it. That's serious. You might be like, I don't care. Yeah. And it happens for a lot of people. They'll do it like, I don't want to work on that. But you know what? I do want to work on this. And they go, great, let's work on that. Because again, perfection is not the plan. It's like, it's just getting better. And if you can look at the thing you got to work on, you'll find that that's part of your identity. You can go, okay, what's the action to remove that, or to fill in a new part of my identity? Because the way I look at identity is an interesting thing. It's like this back end process that's floating in us. But a lot of us, we see ourselves as something currently, and it's very scary to go to this next thing, because in order to leave your current identity, it's kind of like you've built this house of who you are, and someone's asking you to be homeless. They're like, hey, you need to go and be somebody different. It's like, oh, I don't want to be somebody different. What do you mean be somebody different? It's weird. It's scary, because it's like, I don't know I'm not that person. But like, no, you're right. And to leave this would be very difficult and scary. So what I look at is I go, great, look, my focus is this. I want you to be this person you are, but take actions to build that house. Then what happens when you leave this house, when you leave this identity and shift to that one, you're not spending time on the streets. You're going to a house you've now built and prepared to go shift into. That's what we're trying to do for people. But some people, like, they'll leave careers, leave jobs, leave relationships, and feel broken and homeless Because yeah, you didn't build a new identity, and they'll stay there in the streets for a long time, the streets of a marriage, and they can't figure out how to be in a relationship again, the streets of self-love because they don't love themselves when they lost the job, or the streets of like being a bad parent because they didn't come back and go, how do I build that house and be that new person? We're just out there homeless. And so for me, it's like, I need you to understand how to build that new house. Then when you leave that one, you shift it. It's new one that's bigger, better, bolder, and people want to come hang out at your house.
So fantastic. And a planner will help you get there for sure, like a real good one. Oh man, I love that. You also as well, I would love to hear about a time or a story where you have worked with someone and you've just been like overwhelmed with like the success of what you've worked with someone. I know you did touch on someone making like
a couple of different people,
more money, but is there anyone that sticks out for you that was like, whoa,
there's a couple of people.
Yeah.
There's like two, I'm a guy that relationship matters to me a lot. Now business, it's kind of like a no-brainer. There's going to be business. You've got people that have made $45,000 in like 4 days and $95,000 in 4 weeks. That's going to happen because you know what to do, but for whatever reason, it's not getting done or done consistently, right? But the things that matter to me, like I'm a family, a relationship human. Like I love people, man. Like people matter to me deeply. And so when I interact and I have fun and I hang out, like that's what I want. One of the most important things to me is marriage. It just is like a connected relationship. It makes life way more enjoyable. I don't know how to explain that, but like I am more free and happy in a relationship than ever being single. I don't care what single people want to lie to you about and talk about, bro. No, like I don't care. I don't know. The happiest people that are in relationships are way happier than people who are happy single. I don't think you can be unhappy single, but I don't think everybody's unhappy single. Don't get me wrong there. But the happiest happy person I know who's single is never been in my comparison as happy as the happiest couple. It just is. So when I look at the things that I'm doing, like I'm trying to find ways to get people into that bucket to be like happy. I lost train of thought. What the hell was your question again? Because I just like
so, no, you're on there. So just telling us a story.
Oh, the people, marriage.
When you were overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's two couples. One couple went through something similar to me. That's I go off in tangents. Welcome to my brain, bro. I was like, oh, hey guys, where are we at? I don't know.
It's right. We're back on.
Yeah, come catch up, bud. So there was two couples. One couple was like people I knew for many years, and it was just having a conversation with them, realizing, and I try to explain, there's nothing wrong with the marriage. That's not like you guys are good people, right? One couple had a situation where like one cheated on somebody, and I explained to him like it sucks. I get it. I explain, fully understand. Now we had to make a choice. Do you want to be with her or not? And it's like, yeah, I want to be with her. Okay, great. Here's the direction we go. Here's what we have to stop doing, and here's who I need you to become. And in the conversation of becoming, like they built a better marriage, closer, more tight knit, more intimate. It's all there. And it's weird because you have these conversations, things happen. It's scary, but the truth of the matter is, man, it's a tough thing to deal with, but you can create something better if you decide to leave that house and build a better house. So for me, like having a marriage that was bonded and fixed and made better was big. And one of them, the other one, same thing. The other one, like they were smart to get into it when they felt it was rocky. And a lot was going on. And then we just had a lot of conversations. It was months, a lot of conversations back and forth, discussions, how to handle situations, how to do stuff. But little by little, each person became what the marriage needed them to become as a human.
Hold on, we cut out.
It wasn't like, I got to go and do this for my wife's feet. Oh, we got froze again.
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
We're back now. We're good.
Yeah. But it was like, people go like, what do I got to do? What do I got to do to make this thing? What do I got to do? It's like, no. It ain't what you got to do, man. It's who do you have to be? Because when you be that person, you will naturally do those things. It'll be literally like if you're a lion, you're going to roar. If you're a zebra, you're going to run. If you're a cheetah, you're going to run. You're a monkey, you're going to climb. If you are that, you will do that, period. So we got to stop thinking about what do I got to do? It's like, who do I have to become so that those are the things I naturally do? Because there's a beautiful synergy in that. And that's you create stuff. So watching that, I've fixed 2 marriages when I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm not. I work with humanity, humans. And those you think in my position, I'm like, oh, made this money and did this. Like, that's cool. But like I helped families have like family. Kids have mom and dad together, right? It's really cool to see that take place. All because of a process where I look at people differently.
How did that make you feel, man? That should have been like,
I felt horrible, like a piece of trash. No, I'm joking.
I felt so bad.
Now, I think there's something special in the world where if you're able to get to this point, which is a beautiful point, here's what it is. When you do something you love to do and people love that you do it, that's a
Ooh,
beautiful place that not enough people get to in life. They'll do things that they love to do that other people don't love to do, or they'll do things that other people love them to do, but they don't love to do. And it's a weird spot. They're being forced. But you find that marriage between I love doing this and people love that I'm doing this, and life is lived differently.
boom. Wise words right there. I also, man, your energy and your enthusiasm is insane. Like, what do you do to, what do you prioritize to,
Health,
yeah,
people.
to get your health and people like
Yeah,
working
that's what
so
it is.
well that it works for you?
I just got
Actually,
I'm telling you, I got a process. I show up to my life and I don't guess on what to do. I don't even know what I have after we're done in the next 20, 15 minutes, whatever it is. We're done in a little bit. I don't even know what I have on my schedule right now, just so you know. I just have a faith in how I've created my days to where my day tells me what to do. So I just get to show up and be Anthony. I'm in the game. I'm in the game. And so I structure things in that matter. I structure in family time. I have boundaries in place. I have work I get done. I create cool things. I have great friendships that I foster. And so I'm doing those things. And I also have this. I have a scale that's my scale. I have an energy, and I hear a lot. I love your energy. And here's where my energy comes. Energy comes from how you experience your internal world. And I think sometimes people have this internal poor experience because I'm measuring my scale of success that can determine how I feel about myself. I'm measuring it on the world's scale. And the world's scale sucks. You never make enough money. You never have enough things. You're never good looking enough. You're never smart enough. It's just this weird, always a comparison. So I go, let me go back in my private bubble. What is great for me? What is success to me? What matters to me? And like for me, for example, right now I'm in season of dad. I love being a dad, bro. And I got a 16-year-old, I got 12-year-old twins. They turned 12 in 3 days. That for me that's my success, bro. I don't care who would tell me you should be on more stages. You could do more of this, should do more of this. I don't like working too much because I am in season of, I want my heart to be connected to kids. And if I was to borrow the world scale, work for more hours at night. Don't watch TV with the kids. TV's for losers. Millionaires don't watch TV. The hell they don't, bro. I watch tons of TV shows and movies. You kidding me? Sit on the couch with my kids and make them watch movies with me. That's what I do. And so I sit there in a space of like, I'm living in a world and in a life where like I have my own center of what makes me happy. Therefore, when I do something, I know that it's the right thing and it makes me feel good to my scale. So I got great energy. And you can only give out what you have inside. You don't got it inside, it ain't coming out of you, right? And here's the cool thing, the world becomes a mirror. So whatever comes out of me gets put to the world and reflected back. So if I am uneasy and I'm anxious inside because I don't think I'm successful because of a stupid scale, that comes out of me. I give it to the world reflects it back to me. And I experience that all day long, inside and outside. And it's a horrible place to be. Whereas for me, I'm like, well, I'm at peace. I got cool things. I work real hard. Everything's not perfect. Let's be real, but I handle it certain ways to manage my internal energy. And then I show up in the world happy. And then you're in a good mood. And then I get that you're in a good mood and we're good, bro. I'm peace inside and outside, bro. Life is golden for me. Whereas most people, it's like, I wish I could give you a massive hug and then tell you how to make this shift. Because when you do it, you get to this, like, here's our company's vision and mission. It's to help people live in a limitless space of ridiculous power.
Yeah.
Sounds funny, bro. I'm dead serious. I got people that like, they go through, I'm like, how do you feel? Like, I just feel real powerful. Beautiful. I've done my job. And that's hard to actually put on paper, but that's it, to live in a limitless space of ridiculous power to where you have control of your life in ways you never saw before.
Which is a beautiful thing. And
yeah.
I believe one of the things, just like real simply, as you were mentioning, talking about energy is, and obviously I think we've talked about it a little bit throughout this podcast, is protecting your energy. Like obviously being that person who you want to be, who would say no to things, because I always find like myself or people that I work with just stretch themselves just a little bit too thin, and actually committing to those boundaries people find extremely difficult. So it's like, well, finding value enough into those to stay committed and understanding that you're going to feel a lot better happens.
Yeah, it does. But you have to do it to feel it. If you've never been there, you won't understand it or trust it. And the thing is, we don't operate in typical certainty. So the big thing is we got to do this and try this and do it, but I don't have a connected certainty to it. That's why the process I go through charts that end result. Where are we going? Trickle it back. So you go, oh, I know why I'm doing this. And if I do it, I know where I'm going. I know who I'm going to turn into. And if I want this thing, I need to turn into that person. I need to shift into that person. So it becomes easier to do these things because I have certainty. Like if I told you for sure that if you go outside for the next, 3 months and every day, you start by doing a handstand on your thumbs and then picking your butt with your toes, like something. And you knew with certainty, bro, you'd be out there handstand thumbs, foot in your butt all day long. You'd be doing that.
Yeah,
because
so true.
Because of certainty, right?
Yeah.
The problem is most people don't have certainty, so they don't do things that make them feel weird, again, out of character. So I create and teach you how to create certainty with it. And I go, boom, I know what this is going to be if I do this proper, and we roll. And then when you're doing it, it's like, holy crap, it comes to pass. That is a special place few people get to experience, unfortunately.
Yeah, so true. And when they do, I guess, one person at a time, you make the whole world a better place. Is there anything you'd encourage people if they were to get certain? I'm trying to like dig for more little nuggets here, exercises in terms of like,
you got to go through the process, man.
Yeah.
That drive the identity, and then understand, now that I know what they are, how to actually move those forward. I think did I lose you?
Yeah,
I might have lost you with the feed again.
We back.
There he is.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, it's like you have to kind of go in, and if you figure out what comprises an identity, you can actually start putting it together and then work backwards. What would I have to do for an extended period of time to feel like that's who I am? That's it. To feel internally like that's who I am, to do that now. You plan it out. It's good. It's actually, I got a book coming out in a couple of weeks from when we're recording this now. Actually 2 weeks exactly, the 24th of August. And in there, I have the shift method. What I'm talking about is broken down in the book. The second half of the book is all about the process of how to do it. And so if people can walk through and get that down, man, it becomes this beautiful thing of like, oh, I see it. And then there's actually free things. They go there, if they go to identityshiftbook.com and then they use the code LIVE. LIVE's a simple one I put in place. But what you can do is you go get the book, and I'll give you, like, after you buy it, you'll get the audio book. You'll also get a free workbook, digital book, but you also get a workbook. And the workbook, it's like a playbook that shows you how to navigate and actually put this stuff I'm teaching into action. It's called Increasing Cognitive Rigor. If I don't have you think about it and put it into action, it doesn't stick. That's why we read books and we forget what we read about a week after. You get the concept of it, but the majority, it's like, right? That's why I put this in place. You can actually lock in the lesson and go, oh, that's how I do it, and progress through it.
Yeah. And that makes so much sense, because I always find, like myself personally, through whatever I've learned, studying, uni, competing, doing whatever, is it's not until I've actually put something into practice or taught someone else that you've actually gotten anything out of it whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So I love that you've put that in a book system. Do you also have any other books, or like, do you read much? Like, I'm assuming you would be like, yeah, going crazy, right?
Are we just stupid question hour now? No, I'm joking.
No, you're good, bro.
Yeah, I read a lot, man.
What would you encourage like people to read?
A good book for this. I have yet to read it, but I hear it's about the ego. But it's called The Power of Now. I have yet to read it, but I hear, based on what I know it to be, it's good. I can't think who writes it. Eckhart Tolle. I think it's Eckhart Tolle. Yeah. Is Eckhart Tolle that writes The Power?
I think it is. Yeah, I think that's him.
I'm trying to look at my books.
What's been a real impactful book for you that you've read that you've been like,
I'm looking at it, called The Untethered Soul.
Yes.
I swear that Power of Now book is floating around. Hold on. Is it over here? Dude, found it. It is Eckhart Tolle's. I got to read this one. But anyway, so the most recent one I've listened to that I thought was really good is called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which is pretty cool, because all the stuff we're talking about with the concepts of ego, who you are, he kind of uncovers it and unpacks it in a way where he's like, you are not the person you see yourself to be. You are the watcher of the person showing up in the world. And it helps you detach a little bit, I think, from like how you're doing things and like, this is me. It's like, no. Like, you ever had moments where you're sitting talking to yourself? Like, just, no, why would you like that? I don't know. Why do you do that? I don't know. Why do you smell so bad? I don't know why. I should take a shower. You're one of those voices. You can't be both. So which one are you? And realistically, you kind of are both, but you overall are the watcher in your head discussing with the one that's out living the world's life. Like, it's very odd, but that's the concept. So I love the book because it allows me to think about like, oh, when I'm talking about trying to shift into a higher identity, I'm not attached to how this guy is showing up. I'm attached to the effort, his day. What is he doing today? That's why I'm real big on like, what's my day, not the destination. How do I fall in love with the effort? When you attached to being the watcher, I'm like, bro, I'm gonna show up however I want it. I'm gonna be this dude and move smooth. So the Untethered Soul is a good book. I also listened to, what was it? Outwitting the Devil.
Ooh. Who's that by?
Here, bro.
Back now.
It's by Napoleon Hill. Bro, you want to figure out you want to have your brain twisted and scrambled in like the coolest way. Go listen to it though. Don't read it. Listen to it. It's like it kind of comes off like a super cool podcast, but it's like Napoleon Hill and the devil, he breaks some things down. It's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, I'm real interested in that. I like reading hard books, and I like things that sort of dive deep into the shadow realm. Like just for myself, for example, I read Crime and Punishment and sort of took out like a Jordan Peterson recommendation. And I sort of tried to just really, as I was reading it, take an outlook perspective of the journey that was happening to the main characters and like how they sort of broke things down. So like, I'm really excited to read that one because after that book, I felt like a different person, man. I was like,
yeah. It's dope, bro. Get the little nuggets of the gold. And the books are a great thing, man. They help you kind of frame up some different stuff that didn't connect dots. And you can go like, oh, I kind of want to be that person that does this thing. And then we go to the same process. What are the actions that would create that person in time? We go back and trickle it and put it into your life and you rock and roll. The cool thing about what I do with the method as well, it all is like philosophical and thought process wise, it all anchors down to actions, very specific, structured planning actions. And then you do it. Life tells you what to do. And then all of a sudden, flow smooth.
Crazy. I love how simple that. It's just like getting really clear on the specific, accurate actions, which are going to have the biggest impact for you. I love that.
That's what you got to do, bro. Got to get it. So you have certainty of how it rolls.
Well, man, I'd love to say thank you so much for coming onto this podcast. And for anyone listening, obviously you've got a book coming out in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Where else can people find you to follow your journey and dive deep in all this good stuff?
Yeah, man. If you go to @AnthonyTrucks on Instagram, that's the best place to go find me. I'm out there hanging, you know what I'm saying? Do what I do, how I do it.
Love that.
You know, it's funny. Like I try, there's funny in the world of what I do, there are a lot of guys who are like, they're super left brain and smart, and they're just super like buttoned up and tight and professional, like in a level of like wear a suit. This is me. I'm very playful in how I live my life because I have fun in my life. But do not get it confused in any way, please. When I go to work or we dial, I am a coach, I guide, I structure, but I gotta have fun, man. I can't be the rigid control freak all day long, or I'll just be unfortunately not the guy that's happy. So it's kind of that back and forth. I joke, I make you laugh, it's fun, but believe me, bro, we make shit happen.
Yeah, no, I get that. And that's like, you know, part of the work I think that you embody, which finds it like really attractive because you're obviously being really authentic and like you really are being yourself. And people see that and they go, oh, I want a little bit of that flavor.
Yeah, bro. You gotta be you. You gotta do you. Because if you don't do you, I tell people all the time, if people don't know you enough to dislike you, they will never know you enough to love you.
Yeah.
They gotta know you.
That is some absolute fire. Well, before we leave the podcast, just like to ask like one more question. If there is anything that you think that would be extremely beneficial to the listeners of this podcast, who are people who are entrepreneurial, business-wise, they're into fitness, they're into health, and they could be at that position in their life where they're like, I'm ready to take some action. If you got any words to speak to them, I'd love to hear it. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. Go out there and make shift happen, man. That's my big thing. It's shift. It sounds funny, but I got a sign that says make shift happen. The camera's not on, but I can show it to you. But I'm real big on making crazy, cool stuff happen. Life is supposed to be lived in a space that is feeling as many feelings and experiences as you can. And if you don't have this connection, like I got to go try, be like, I'm not saying blow your life up and do crazy, but like I have a life that's anchored, stable. I got a family, like all that kind of stuff, but I still do stuff that helps me feel and experience life. And I think if you don't, then you're hurting yourself. You got one shot at this thing, man. Do it right by going and experiencing cool things.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Anthony, for your time, and we'll see you in the next one.